Namaste and good morning, everyone. We'll start our class with the prayers. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now Mahamrityunjaya mantra 3 times. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam iva bandhana mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukam iva bandhana mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukam iva bandhana mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everyone. Today we start class number 10 for this course, that is the grammar part of the course. We are having the parallel Bhagavad Gita classes. So today we'll cover these topics. Panini methodology for generating nominal forms. So I have told you many times that Panini has only one set of suffixes in his grammar for generating all the nominal forms. So whether it's masculine, feminine, neuter, noun, pronoun, ending in akara, ikara, nakara, doesn't matter. He uses a single set of suffixes to generate all the nominal forms. So how is that possible when we have so much variety? So today I just want to give you a little glimpse, because there were some requests from some people that just want to have a little glimpse into how Panini methodology works. And we are not going to go into very detail, because that's not a part of this course. That will take itself a new course altogether to understand how the Panini methodology works. But just wanted to give you some idea. So this is the set of suffixes which Panini uses. So you see, I'll just mark here some. So this is su, au, jas, and what you see in the bracket here, that is the form of the suffix which is actually used. Just like we saw tumun and only tum was used, other things were similarly, like the actual suffix is ot, but only au remains. So only in certain cases. So wherever you see in the brackets, that's where the bracketed form, that's what the suffix remains. So some of you might have heard, somebody told me that it appears in the movies also. While just trying to teach Sanskrit grammar, they try to sort of make it out like as if some sort of a Sanskrit is being taught. So that traditionally people would just memorize it, this set of endings. And the way to memorize this was you just repeat after the teacher. So let us try this. I'll repeat it one line at a time and you repeat after me. Su, au, jas. Out, shas. Ta, bhyam, bhis. Ne, bhyam, bhyas. Nasi, bhyam, bhyas. Nas, os, am. Ni, os, sup. So there are lot of rules associated with these forms, that how these suffixes eventually give us the tables like Ramaha, Ramau, Ramaha, or any other table for that matter, or a nominal part, not the verb form. Nominal tables, nominal and pronouns. So there are a lot of rules associated with different kind of forms, but there are certain common, very common rules, they are here. So I have written down 2 such rules that you can understand easily. So final sakara of a word changes into refa, and from refa to visarga. So for example, if you know, we had Rama plus sa, this sakara here, that will be the nominal form. So how will it happen? Then it will become sakara. This is the final sakara of a word. It changes into refa. So it will change into refa, and then from there refa to visarga. So like this. So that's how it works. So you see, of course, if you try to generate all the other forms using just these 2 rules, it will not work because there are many more rules. I just wanted to show you how Ramaha comes from this table, just one set. Another rule is that final consonant of a word, if it's a part of a conjunct consonant, is dropped. So we'll see the example of this. So this particular set of suffixes, they work more for consonant endings. Like when you have a consonant ending nominal, the rules which are applied are fewer in number versus when you have a vowel ending noun. So today we'll try to use one consonant ending and you will see how easy it is to generate from this table. So I'll just remove these highlights because this doesn't serve any purpose here for us. So I'll take this word Sarit. It's a feminine noun ending in takara, and it means river. So we'll see that how does it apply here. So first one would be Sarit plus Sakara from here. And here you can see the definition which I was talking about. Final consonant of a word if part of a conjunct consonant is dropped. So you see Takara followed by Sakara, there is no vowel in between. That's a conjunct consonant. So the last part of conjunct consonant is the Sakara that will drop. So only the Sarit would remain, the same form, the original form. Sarit. Same here. Sarit. Similarly, when you have off form, you will have Sarit plus Au. And that will become Saritau. Just simply add them up. There is no sandhi here. So Sarit plus Au is Saritau. And here if you look at Sarit plus, now we will add the one in the bracket, the one which remains, not just, but us. And here again, if you just add it up and create the Sakara into Refa, Refa into Visarga, it becomes like this, Saritaha. So just they come together and you see the rule here, final Sakara of a word changes into Refa and from Refa to Visarga. So it becomes Saritaha. Then here you can similarly add Sarit plus again it just becomes Saritam. Here the same form because it's Au actually here, just like Au, the final thing is remaining Au here. So this also remains the same. And here also it's us, same us. So here also it remains the same. Now this one, Sarit plus A. So it will become Sarita. So Sarit plus A, it's simply Sarita. Bhyam. So Sarit plus Bhyam. And here if you look at, there is a sandhi taking place. Takara before Bhakara, which is a voiced consonant, it becomes Dakara. We already covered these consonant sandhi rules. So that's the only change will happen here. It become Sarit Bhyam. Sarit Bhyam. It's easier to probably a little bit read this way, I hope. Many times it is not, when you write with the hand, you don't write it like this. You make them separate. It's just easier to read that way slightly. Here Sarit plus his. So one, this sandhi change will take place. Second, sakara is in the end, so it will become visarga. So it becomes saridbhihi. Saridbhihi. Then this is a, even though ne is the main suffix, it's actually a. So you can just have it here, sarite. And sarit bhyam, that remains the same. It's the same suffix exactly. And bhyas, same logic, just like in bhis we had. So sarit plus bhyas is equal to sarit bhya. Sarit bhya. Us, it is incidentally the same suffix here, us, even though it differs in the main one, but final form is the same. So here also it will not undergo any change. Bhyam is the same as above, and bhyas also is the same one as above. Nas, this is the same form, us, so no change here. Os, so here becomes sarit plus os becomes saritoho. Sakara will change into visarga. And sari here, sarit plus am will become, you just add them up, saritam. And this one, ni, it's going to be sarit plus e, sariti. Saritos, it remains the same. And sup, again the su only remains, so it becomes sarit plus su becomes sarit su. So these are the 7 cases. They are so easily derived in cases of sarit that you really don't have to change much. With these 2 rules, you can have the whole sarit table derived. You don't have to memorize. You can almost get it just by looking at the suffixes. But that's not how it will work in all the cases, because there are many other rules which come into place. Vocative case, Panini, as I told you, he doesn't define it separately. He just says first case is the same as vocative case. In some cases, the singular changes. So vocative remains the same in this case, no change. Oh. Still it is doing it. So vocative. So it remains the same. So I just wanted to give you some idea that how the system works. And when you study Panini grammar advanced, at that time you can see that you don't have to memorize these tables, you just have to understand the rules. And then those rules will help you to derive all the tables. Another one thing I want to just bring your attention here. You see, I put this rule, final sakara of a word changes into refa, and from refa to visarga. Why this two-step process? Why not directly say sakara will change to visarga if it always happens this way? The reason is that there are a few words which do not go from this transformation. They are naturally ending in refa without first in sakara, and then refa changes to visarga. Based upon what route a word has taken, whether it has gone from sakara to refa to visarga versus directly from refa to visarga, some visarga sandhi rules change. That's where you see that we have this rule here, a visarga sandhi rule, that when a visarga is preceded by akara and followed by a voiced consonant, it changes to O. Like Ramaha Gacchati becomes Ramo Gacchati. But the same thing doesn't happen in case of Punar. If the word is Punaha, it says Punar Gacchati. It doesn't become Puno Gacchati. That's the reason. Punar is a natural word ending in Refa rather than, that's why that Visarga Sandhi rule is different there versus something coming from Sakara. So because some of you had these questions and I did not put all the rules for you together, but now I thought this is an opportunity. I can explain to you an additional rule for Visarga Sandhi, that if a Visarga changes from Sakara to Refa to Visarga, these rules apply what we have put in here in the Visarga Sandhi rules. But some of these rules, they do not apply for those words. And there are not many. There are only a very few. That's why you don't see much of a problem. But once in a while, we come across those words like punaha. So punaha, if it is a word punaha, so punaha vadati, it becomes punarvadati. You might have already encountered this sandhi in your exercises. And you will wonder that why this rule is not applying here. That it is preceded by akara, visarga is preceded by akara and followed by a voiced consonant, it should change to O. But it doesn't change to O. It remains, it becomes refa. So that's the reason why this particular case behaves differently. As I told you earlier, in Sanskrit, truly speaking, there are no exceptions. It's all rules. It's just that number of rules are quite a lot. But everything has been very well defined and structured how the things work. So with this, a little small introduction into Panini methodology, and if and when you choose to learn Panini methodology directly, that time all these things would be explained in far more detail. But for now, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about it. So if you have any questions on this before we start, new thing, you please ask. So the question is that third instrumental dual the rule number 2 does not apply, like in sarit, as sarit. So rule here you see saridhyam, rule 2 here it says final consonant of a word if part of a conjunct consonant. So it has to be final consonant. Here saridhyam, it is not a final consonant, it comes in the middle. That's why this consonant is not dropped. Here in sarit sa, this is the final consonant. That's why it's dropped. So any more questions, please ask on this topic before I start on the next. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I'll cover the next topic then. In case of sarit, which is it ending in takara, similarly the masculine forms also work. Marut, for example, is a masculine noun, which means wind. It goes exactly the same way. The neuter noun behave little differently in the nominative and accusative case, but in all other cases, they work exactly the same. So this is only for takaranta noun. We will study more nouns which end in at later classes. There the rules differ a little bit. One thing here I want to bring to your attention is that there are some sections have been divided here. So one is these 5 are one section. And then the suffixes which start with a vowel, like this one, that is a different section. So this one starts with a vowel, 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 and these two also starts with a vowel, and this one also. So how many are starting with a vowel? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 are with the vowels, and remaining ones out of the other 5. We remember first 5 are we already marked separately. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 are with the consonants. So there is a question, ought also starts with a vowel. I'm saying these 5 are already marked separately. We are not counting these 5. They create one own section. The remaining 16, we are counting among the remaining 16. Total is 21, 7 into 3, 21. So we have 3 sections here if you look at. 5 made one section, then the suffixes which start with the vowels and suffixes which start with the consonant. Why this division? So if you remember the form of Rajan, or we had form of Rajan, just one second, let me see if I have it here. Otherwise, I'll pull it from the repository. Okay. So Swami Tapasyananji prepared this nominal declensions. I hope you are taking advantage of it, where he has given all the forms of all the noun forms. So Rajan here, it is on page 17, 16 number form. So this is Rajan. And if you remember, we discussed that it has 3 categories here. So one is first 5, then another is this where the weaker forms are coming. So we decided strong, weak and weaker forms. That's the logic of those forms. Now you can see a little bit clearly that how this methodology comes about. This is coming from the same Paninian methodology, that first 5 are separated out. Then the ones which are starting with the vowel, they take the weaker forms in some certain nouns, and others, they take the weak form or the normal form. So strong, normal or weak, whichever way you want to classify 3. So that's how the 3 classifications come about. So just remember that this kind of classification will happen in some other nouns also. So that is the logic behind it. Then, if there are no more questions, I want to start with this topic called Upasarga. Upasarga is called verb prefix. And we covered it in Sanskrit 1 course in lesson 15. So I would recommend you to check the notes of lesson 15 from the course 1. So here is lesson 15 notes, which you can access from the repository. And here was the one I had explained. Looks like it must be looking like a long time ago. So it may be some revision may be in order here. So we discussed that time that just like in English, you have a verb, say put, that means to move or place anything. But when you add certain words after this verb, the meaning changes. So put about means to disturb, to worry. Put down means to write down, to record. Put off means to postpone. Put on means to clothe oneself. Put out, to extinguish. So similar kind of concept. Here these are called prepositions, but they put in the postpositional. The similar kind of concept in Sanskrit, it comes in the prefix form, and they are called upasarga, and they change the meaning of the verb, or sometimes they don't, but many times they could change. So one example in Sanskrit for upasarga is here, hru. Hru means to take away, to rob, to plunder. But the same hru, when I put it with the prefix a, it becomes ahara, which means food. Vihara, which means enjoyment or dwelling place. Prahara means strike or attack. Sahara, killing or violence. Parihara means disrespect, giving up, abandoning. So you see how drastically, just like in English we saw with the put, we saw with these prefixes change the meaning of the original word. And as you can see here, these prefixes have their own meaning, but in some cases the meaning of final word is quite different than what you would intuit with the meaning to be. In Sanskrit, we can have more than one prefix applied in succession before the word. So there are 22 prefixes like this in Sanskrit literature. In Sanskrit, they are a fixed number, and those are given here in detail. Last time we discussed it from Thomas Eugene's book. That's where it has been taken, and you can look at this list. You can understand the meaning and see how do they apply to different verbs to change the meaning of the verb. So prefix are very important thing in Sanskrit, very commonly encountered. One thing here, sandhi between an upsarga and verb is mandatory. So I told you earlier that Ramaha gacchati, we can say Ramaha gacchati or Ramo gacchati, even though sandhi generally happens, but it's not mandatory between two words in a sentence. But between an upsarga and a verb, we don't have a choice. Sandhi is mandatory. So pra plus ikshate, this is verb here is ich. Ich means to see. So when you put pra and ikshate, it becomes prekshate. He watches. If you add the word anu, it becomes anvikshate. O plus e becomes v. Yan sandhi. Okara followed by ikara becomes vakara. Anvikshate, he observes. Then if you use the word prati as a prefix, pratikshate, he awaits. And pari, if you add, it becomes he examines. So you can see there is some connection in the meanings, but meaning changes. And in some cases, the meaning doesn't change. More than one upasarga is possible. So this is a very famous word, vyakarana. V plus a plus karana, vyakarana. It is the word for grammar. The word we are studying is vyakarana. It literally means to take apart in a special manner. That's what literally the word meaning would be. So what you take apart in vyakarana, in reading grammar, studying grammar, you take apart the prefixes and the main and the suffixes. Like I told you last time, we had this concept of prakruti and pratyaya. Every Sanskrit was primarily with this prakruti pratyaya concept. So this division of a word, to analyze a word by its prakruti, the base, and the suffix or sometimes prefix, that is the study of vyakarana. To try to understand the word, that how did it come about? How is it, whether it is the proper word or not? So that is vyakarana. So that's how the word has vyakarana has come, and that's what we are studying, Sanskrit grammar, vyakarana. Another thing which can happen with an upsarga is a verb can change from parasmaipadi to atmanepadi. Not very common, but it's possible. So for example, G is a verb, means to win. And if I make a simple tense, lat lakara, it becomes jayati. He wins. Jayati. If you put the V as the prefix, then it becomes jayate. It becomes atmanepadi. You see, so in some cases that may happen, vijayate. Do you remember that prayer we were doing in Sanskrit course 1? Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate. This one. So that's how the Vijayate. The verb G is Jayati. But with the prefix, it changes into Atmanepadi. So here it's Parasmaipadi, here it changes into Atmanepadi. This kind of change may happen, not very common, but it may happen in some cases. So let me see, there are some questions. There is a question, how can one know intuitively that Sarit is feminine and not masculine or neuter? I have told many times in the past that in Sanskrit, you don't get to the gender intuitively. You have to know from the word. A word belongs to a gender, not the object. So there is no intuitive way to know that Sarit is feminine and not masculine or neuter. You check up in dictionary or learn the Sanskrit rules, which give you some idea that what gender is it. The basic idea is that gender of a word is determined by how people use it. There is no inherent gender in something. The way people use a particular word, that's how the gender is formed. But based upon that speech analysis of people, some rules have been formed which give you some idea of the gender of the word. So there is a question, shouldn't Okara plus Ikara would be Vakara E long? So here, Anvikshate, it is indeed long. So you see here Okara plus Ikara becomes Vakara and Ikara. So here it is long. Anvikshate. Actually, this Ikara doesn't undergo any change. This Ikara remains Ikara only. Okara becomes Vakara. Yan Sandhi changes the previous consonant, not the following one. So here, if you look at Yan Sandhi, Ikara, Ukara, Rukara, they changes to Yakara, Vakara, or Refa. The subsequent vowel remains the same. What is the meaning of Vijayate? Vijayate just means to win in a special way. So it pretty much the same thing as Jayati, he wins. You can say he specially wins. Or he wins in a special manner. Or he wins comprehensively. Something like that. Okay. There is a question. Vinir Muktaha. Can you explain this word? So this is there is a question related to Vinir Muktaha. So this is formed by the sub prefixes. So V plus nis. If you look at the prefix table we had, so there should be nis, and that will become nihi. So Vinir Mukta comes from there. So it becomes nis and plus mukta. Because of some rules, it will become Vinir Mukta. So there are two prefixes here. Mukta means free, and Vinir Mukta pretty much used in the same sense, totally free, liberated. Where is the PowerPoint with Sandhi rules in the repository? It's in the Sanskrit 1 course. That was a part of the Sanskrit 1 course in the repository, in the other documents. You will see it there. Plus, it's also explained in detail in all the class notes. Okay, so these are the topics today I wanted to touch base upon. we can have a little bit of a classwork, and then today we can get to some of the questions and comments from the previous emails I have received. So this is the classwork. You can study these two page number from Sanskrit Subodhini, and you can also try to write the declensions of the word Marut. Just like Sarit, you can write for Marut also. I can copy that part here maybe. I do not know whether it will fit. But you can get an idea that how to. So it is not completely visible here. I can try to reduce the font. Okay, so you can try with this. So right now it is 9:48, around 10 o'clock, we'll again gather. So you can write your questions in the chat window. Welcome back, everyone. There is a question, can you please explain number 5 on page 122? Okay, so let's go to page 122. So here, this is the case, the point number 5. Sometimes, though not frequently, a middle verb here the author is referring to as Atmanepadi verb, becomes active, which he is referring to Parasmaipadi, and then Parasmaipadi becomes Atmanepadi due to a verbal preposition. I told you the same thing in Jayati Vijayate. He is giving Ramate Viramati, another example, with Ram Dhatu. So same concept which I had told you with Jayati and Vijayati. There is a comment here. Pranam, thanks for introducing the Panini methodology, better understanding of the declension changes and the strong, weak and weaker forms of Rajan. Thank you. There is a question, page 121, relation nouns. So page 121. This is page 121. Page 121. So the question here is, Mukund Baba, I'm not sure where do you see your question, because I see the page 121 and I don't see your question. Relation noun Swasru, how do you get Bhagni? So can you please clarify? Okay. Then I don't have any more questions, so I'll go through some of the questions which you have asked in the emails. So one thing, normally we say that if you are not asking any questions, that means you understood everything or you didn't understand anything. So you figure out which category you are in. What I noticed was that most of you are not solving the exercise, not even looking at them, because there was a riddle mentioned in one of the exercises, and one of the things I found very few responses, that people even talking or responding to that riddle. So I just want to know your opinion, like how do you want this course? Are you happy not doing the exercises, just attending the classes? Do you think you are learning enough, or how would it best benefit you? Because if most of the people are not even attempting the exercises, then I just wanted to understand that how do you think the best way to conduct the course, so that most of you feel in tune and feel benefited. So please send your comments through the chat window or write in the email. And also I want to know, like, is there a particular problem which you are not able to ask because of which you are not solving the exercise, or not even having any questions? Because this is a course which requires some sort of commitment, and you all are in one way or the other committing to be a part of this course. So just wanted to make sure that there is the best utilization of the time and resources we have. So there is a question here. Where can we see the declensions of Sarit? It is in the book. So not right now, not like in the chapter which we covered right now, but later on you will find in this chapter, in certain chapters, the declensions of Sarit, Takaranta noun. There is a question, can you please give some examples of Karam Pravachniya? So there is a comment here in this book that these prepositions function in two distinct ways. Sometimes they govern nouns and function as adverbial phrases. In this kind of usage, they are called Karam Pravachniya. So Karam Pravachniya are the same words. We have already seen them in previous exercises. So for example, Anugachati, you might have seen that kind of usage, means follows. So Pratigachati, Saha Munim Pratigachati, he goes towards the Muni. So like that, they are used not as prefix, but they follow a noun. So then they are called Karam Pravachniya. Those kind of examples are already seen in past exercises, where in the same book, if you have been following the exercises, you must have come those kind of usages where Prati or Anu or those kind of things. So that way, those are Karam Pravachniya. So there is a comment here. I'm very happy with the exercises, learning a lot from them, Swamiji. Thank you. There's a comment. I'm happy doing exercises, but a bit behind. Will continue doing them. Okay. So then there's a comment. This is great what you're doing. Sometimes it's hard to finish all of the homework, and in some cases, at least I look at the questions and solutions. Please do not change anything. Then there is a comment, I'm attempting the exercise but trying to catch up right now in chapter 12. So that is fine. As long as you're attempting just a little behind and catching up, this is very good. What I'm seeing, many of or most of the people are not even attempting any exercises. So that's where I was wondering, Are you happy with the way that is going, that way, the way you are able to learn? So there is a comment, please look at page 110, relation noun swasru. So we'll look at that if the time permits later on, Mukund Baba, but right now I wanted to be sticking to this topic. There is a question regarding the subendings. You explained this was very interesting. It would be nice to see how they also apply to the akaranta, ikaranta, and ukaranta stems. So it is indeed very interesting. And when you see it truly being applied to all the nouns which are ending in like Ramaha, Harihi, they are really very interesting. And for that, you have to study the grammar Paninian way, like in the original with the sutras. And that is a very fascinating study in itself, even though it is very, very involved study. So it's not a casual study at all. It requires probably maybe a year-long course to get to some footing into that kind of methodology. But it is very interesting, and it is very, very systematic, very structured. There is a comment here. Dear Swamiji, it's not your fault. Life has taken over again. I think I love attending your classes, but right now I find it very difficult time-wise to catch up or do exercises. Apologies, it is just lack of time. There's another comment. You are explaining things very well and offering wonderful notes, study materials. My not doing exercise, not being able to commit the time to study throughout the week. It would be better for me if the class was 45 minutes and few exercises per week. Doing less each week will give me time to master and not get lost. Look, the thing is that we were doing 3 classes per week last course, and many more people were responding to the exercises. So this time we have reduced to 1 exercise only. And the class exercises, they are long, I agree, but they are a lot of revision work where it's happening. So then there is a comment, Swamiji, exercise is most necessary in working on them. I understand the content of the classes and understand more. That is how the gerund infinitive works in Sanskrit, how the word order might be common. Also, translations are essential to check how you understood everything, how to split the sandhi, what are the cases, and with practice, you recognize everything more and more quick. It is indeed true. Exercises, I'm pretty sure that those of you who are doing the exercises regularly and submitting them regularly, they would indeed have their learning, their confidence level to a good extent at the result of, at the end of this course. There is another comment, dear Swamiji, personally, I think this course is fantastic. The effort that is put in by Sanskrit team with all the exercises and class is amazing. I'm so happy with this course and I have learned so much since April. I personally think nothing should change. I like doing the exercises, even though there are many. So I'm just very grateful for the class, and my thanks and gratitude to Sanskrit team. Thank you. So there is a comment, I'm also happy with the class, but still trying to catch up with the previous classes. There is a question, do we have to send classwork on declensions of Marut? You don't have to. You can just do it for yourself. It is identical, not this time, but next time it probably would be covered as a part of the homework. There is a comment here, if I miss doing some exercises in the previous classes, I miss continuity and it's hard to catch up. I'm assured that all the work is there, so I can do it slowly. As long as you are attempting and just a little bit behind, it's okay. It can still be managed. And but if you drop the whole thing and don't do the exercise, that's where you will find that slowly your learning will not really be in tune with the class, and you would also lose the interest in Sanskrit. Now, I'm pretty sure that most of you who are a part of this class are here because you are interested in learning Sanskrit. And being the online format has its own challenges. If it were class, I'm pretty sure that I could have nudged you a little bit more to get to the work done, and you could have also asked the questions immediately to me in case you had doubts. So online format has challenges both hands, but the advantage here is that we have the recordings, we have the class notes, you can refer to them back again and again, and you can catch up in your spare time. So there are both advantages and disadvantages. Try to take as much advantages as we have in this online format, and the disadvantages we have, of course, those things can be made up by focusing on the advantages which online format offers to us. There's a comment, I am trying to do the exercises, but it takes time for me. There is another comment, we are happy just to hear your voice. Then there's a comment, sorry about not submitting the answers. You are a great teacher and I'm not doing justice. I do attempt but not submitting, but we will do now onwards. So there's another comment, sometimes Sanskrit is overwhelming and I feel I'm anyway going to forget and discourages to go forward, but I'm definitely learning and that encourages to keep going. So that is not true that you will anyway going to forget. And if you put your work, there will definitely some learning. And if you are keeping in touch with, for example, reading Gita and other things, you will not forget. And the way I learned was in a similar manner. I kept on pursuing it and I feel that reached to a certain point where I will not forget everything. Some things I forget, of course, when I do not look in, use them for long, and then I can catch up relatively easily because the base is ready. So there is a question here, grammar is V plus separation plus A plus sound. So grammar, this word vyakarana, V, A, karana, these are the two prefix, V and A and karana. Karana is to do, literally it means with the visarga to take it apart in a very special manner. So the page 122 past tense marker says may not be readily visible because Sandhi rules applied. So let's see page 122 here. So there he is saying that because the Sandhi is mandatory and in the past tense form you have a past tense marker like akara. If the prefix is also like this, akara, then they both together mix with the make sandhi, and that may not be very easily visible that it was indeed a past tense form. So based upon the context, you could recognize them, but that's what it means. So in another case, if it were verb like agachati comes, then it will be simply not possible to figure out just by looking at the word whether it means it goes or it comes back. But it generally does tell you based upon the context that what should be the meaning, until unless the author is purposely trying to confuse, like the poets do sometimes. So there is a comment here, pranams, thanks for everything, able to understand, I do follow the solutions, trying to correct. Thanks once again for the effort and time to put everything together. It makes me understand. Appreciate your patience, and teaching is awesome. Thank you so much. Much of the material which you see as a part of the Sanskrit course, Swami Tapasyananji is putting great effort to put all these things together so that it will be very useful for everybody here as a part of the Sanskrit course. So whether it is all the class notes, Bindima is also helping with the class notes tremendously. So she is every week, she takes time from her schedule and put together the class notes. And then Swami Tapasyananji works on those class notes. Similarly, all the exercises. So please do read those class notes. As I told you, like class 15, that was from the previous course, but that gives you a very good idea what the prefixes were and how did we go about them. You could also look at the video which I had in class 15 of the previous course. There is a comment here, thank you for all the work is being put into teaching this class. I have fallen behind on the exercises due to other commitments. We'll try and catch up. Probably shorter exercise will make it easier to complete and give everyone a sense of accomplishment. So I'm just following the exercises from the book, and some of the exercises are long, I agree. You can try whatever you can. Maybe even if you try like half the exercise, say there are like 20 sentences, you try 10 if you don't have time. it will still give you some sense of learning. And later on, when you do have time, you can catch up with the remaining. So that way you can keep up with the class, even if you attempt part of the exercise. So there is another comment, I'd like to do my exercise, but I'm not so quick in doing my exercise. I take much longer time than 10 hours a week. Often I sit until midnight, and this week I had too much other important duties, so I even did not find time for the first time in the course to finish half of the work. Sorry. So I'm very happy at least about your commitment. And to me, being able to attempt is what is the most important part. If you are not able to finish it, understood, and you can probably catch up, and even if you do half, that's okay. But what I was concerned about, that many of the participants are not attempting the exercises. Is there any book in English that can talk more on Panini methodology? There are many, but if you truly want to understand and learn, a book generally will not be sufficient. It's a very committed course. It takes like, maybe in university setting, it might be taking like a few years to understand the Panini methodology properly. So it's not that you just can read a book and understand. There is a comment here, Swamiji, thank you for all your time and effort. Please do not change anything. The course is very well structured and topics very well explained. Just need to catch up with some home tasks. There is another comment. Swamiji, I'm a slow learner. Takes me longer to memorize the rules, but I'm continuing to follow the lessons and class exercise. Thank you for the class. And also, I'm not seeing a lot of questions being asked from your side. So please do not hesitate. In case you have any questions, just always feel free to write to us, and we'll reply to those questions. That way, you do not feel that if you don't understand anything, that how to resolve. You can always ask the questions to us. In the class, of course, that is preferable along with the topic. That way you get the topic clarity right there and then. But even later on, when you get the questions, you can always send to us by email. There's another comment here. Swamiji, this class is helping me to read Bhagavad Gita. Indeed, that is true. And one of the purpose of the course is to be able to read the scriptures. There is another comment here. The course is really fantastic. I love to learn Sanskrit. You do it very well. The only thing is that I would be happy if the exercise would be reduced. It was impossible to do the exercise for 2 past classes. The past week I tried to solve the exercise 229 up to number 38, but it took about 10 hours for me. So exercise 230 was not possible. As I said, yes, exercises are long. I understand. And more you try, more you get familiar, it will become easier. Right now, because there was a lot of revision of the topics, I was actually realizing that it was taking longer. But try a half if you don't have time, half the exercise and half of the next, and that's okay. Later on, when the course finishes and after that you have more time, you can go through all over it once more and then do it completely. That's perfectly fine. There is another comment here. Extremely grateful for all the efforts being put on by the team. Extremely helpful. Thank you. There is a comment here. Please do not change anything. The class is very easy to understand. You explain everything very well, and it's a great help the way Swami Tapasyananji gives us the solutions. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you. There is a comment here. I'm truly grateful for all your teaching and entire Sanskrit team. Namaskar to all your efforts. Thank you so much. There is a comment here. Thank you, Baba, Bindima, and Tapasyan and Baba. Really appreciate your dedication and pray more people learn Sanskrit through the recordings. I do refer people and encourage them to learn from the recording. So here's a comment. Sometimes it's hard to finish all the homework in such case, and at least I look at the questions and solutions. Please do not change anything. So there is a question, Swamiji, are you planning a more advanced course to follow after this one? So right now, it depends upon how many people are interested, because I do want to follow the course only if there are people who are interested and they have submitted all the classwork. It of course won't start immediately. So those who have not been able to catch up, they will have the time to catch up. There would be a gap of at least 2 months. But nothing is sure right now for offering the next level course. That purely depends upon how many people are interested and how well they are well versed with the up to Sanskrit 2 level, because it builds up. Sanskrit is a subject, like as I told you earlier, like physics or chemistry or mathematics. It builds up, so can't be done in isolation. But there is a possibility. Right now I have not decided anything on that. Today we are on 10th class. We planned for this course to last for 16 classes. 16 classes for the grammar and 16 classes for Bhagavad Gita. So that should take probably till the end of September, start of October or something like that, or middle of October. And then we will have a considerable gap if we start the next year. So there, as I said, there would be a gap of at least 2 months, and that should give those who are interested enough time. And then we will see how many people are interested, and then we could potentially offer. So right now we will not change anything. We will continue the same format: exercise, providing the solutions, and class notes. And those of you who are trying to attempt, I'm very happy. Even though if you are not able to be up to the speed, that's fine. You can do half, and then remaining half can be done later. And those who are indeed able to put the effort together and able to do the exercise, they would definitely find the significant difference in their learning. And I'm seeing some comments from those people that they are finding it very they are able to learn a lot of things. So some of the questions from the previous emails I have received, I just want to cover those. There was a question that how these sandhis, how the words are, like how these sandhis are coming into place. This was a question. I'll put it into the so the sandhi here is tasyaha jananyaha. It's the sixth case singular. Janani jananyaha shashruvaha, sixth case singular, and the visarga drops. If you remember this rule, visarga sandhi, visarga drops when preceded by akara and followed by a voiced consonant or vowel. The visarga is dropped. So that's the rule which is taking place here. Preceded by akara and followed by a voiced consonant. So there is a question here. Aside from applying the usual sandhi rules, I'm not clear on when I should combine some of the other words in a sentence together and when I should leave them separate. For example, in the exercise, we see the sentence 1. Mitrasya vachinena nrupah khidyate kintu sabhashate he mitra yadaham tvamikshe tadaham modayati. Could we not combine the words together like this? Anywhere we see a vowel and consonant together except before a quote, like person is giving this example, mitrasya vachinena nrupah khidyate kintu sabhashate. So if you look at here, the general rule is in Sanskrit that if a word ends in a vowel, it is not combined with the next word. If a word ends in a consonant, generally they are put together. So here, every word is ending in a consonant. You see, mitrasya vachinena nrupaha, either visarga or a consonant. So visarga, the visarga sandhi rules will apply. Then you see that this is all vowels. So if it's ending in a vowel, it will not combine with the following word. They will remain as separate. And until unless sandhi rules. So sandhi rules are here which tell you that whether one word remain or two words. So here in the visarga sandhi, end result is two separate words. End result is one word. So we have already these rules fixed here. Similarly, in the visarga vowel sandhi, we had that where two similar resulting in the one long vowel. So when it is one long vowel, then of course it's a one vowel, so there is no question of separation. But here in case of Ayadi Sandhi, end result is two separate words if you choose to drop yakara. So if you read that and just follow this principle that generally when a word ends in vowel, then you do not put it together with the following word. So that's why this kind of construction is not generally, you will not find in the books. Remember, this is not sandhi. Just putting the words together is not sandhi. It is just putting the word together. Sandhi happens when there is a change either in the previous vowel, subsequent letter, previous letter, subsequent letter, or both the letters. So this one, he is giving another example, the person. Compare this with number 15, where the words tvam eva mam anindaha are combined together, tvam eva mam aninda. So you see why they are combined, because it's a makara, it's a consonant. So that's why generally it's combined with the following vowel, tvam eva. But here it ends in the vowel, so we don't combine with the following word. So same here, mam anindaha. So is combining words in this way always optional? Not really, as I already told you the rules. So then there are some comments which people have really expressing their satisfaction and happiness with the way they are learning, and that is happening because people are putting a lot of effort and submitting the exercises. So there is some comments here. I'm really so happy that in the last class the different cases were explained in such a detail. During Sanskrit course 1, I was sometimes confused which case to use, whereas sometimes they really don't match with the way we use in English. But since last class, things became much more clear. Generally, I feel that this course we get more into the core of topics, what we touched during the previous course, and one gets more and more understanding. So just like in any course which you are doing, lot of repetition helps to strengthen the learning. So Sanskrit is not an exception. And as we saw that when we started with the course 2, lot of exercises were built upon the concepts which we touched in class 1, but probably the exercises were longer and more difficult than the course 1, which helped you to understand, to learn those concepts in greater detail. So this is another comment here. In the beginning, I was shocked to see the long text in exercise 226.1. So long 226.1 is indeed was a long exercise, and this was the text in 226. But to my delight, I figured out that I could do it quite quickly. I saw that I can now more easily see what is noun, verb, pronoun, etc. So this makes it much more easy to go forward. Also to add and remove sandhi, it became much easier with more and more practice, and that was really good to see. So also the verbs I do recognize. So this I'm very happy to hear this kind of comment, and that tells you that generally if you think about it, how would you think that before you started this course that this kind of paragraph in Sanskrit in Devanagari, and this person who is writing this, she was not from the Indian background, so did not know the vocabulary much or the Devanagari script much. So from that perspective, the progress is simply amazing. And you think of it to be able to understand and be able to translate this kind of passage in Sanskrit. So that's a very good progress, and I'm very happy about it. And those, of course, it requires effort, but then with the effort, the result, you can see that you are able to understand so much more. So there is a comment here. I think I have gone as far as I can sending the assignments for Sanskrit 02. I can translate the Devanagari script, but I am unable to read it directly. Also, I have fallen behind in my vocabulary as I am unable to commit the words to memory. I know only the English language and consider it a blessing to have learned Sanskrit this much. Thank you very much for your teachings. So I talked to this person, and this person has actually indeed started to try to learn again, because it does require sometimes effort, and sometimes you can feel overwhelmed. But as I said, if you have any questions, please send it to us. Just see that where the things are getting difficult for you. So it naturally, if the things get stuck, many people do give up. And as you can see, many people, we started with a lot many more participants than we are right now. But those who those who are able to work hard and stick to the end, they will actually see the fruits of their labor. So instead of giving it up, see where you are having the problems and send the questions to us. Then this was the comment of that person again, that I'm restarting my study of Sanskrit by writing out the vocabulary words in Sanskrit Subodhini with their transliteration and meaning and try to understand them. I won't worry about leaving behind. I feel so happy that I'm able to see many of the vocabulary and sandhis in everyday shlokas, starting with Suprabhatam. I now know what Tishthanti means, including words like Kamalani, Manoharani. Thank you. So there is a comment here. Please find attached my exercise. I thank you so much for typing out the questions in Devanagari and IST. This was a huge help. So thank you so much. This, as I said, all this credit goes to Swami Tapasyananji. He is putting a lot of hard work to make sure that exercises are in place in the format that they are in, along with the solutions. And there is a comment here. As we have rain here, I spent really a lot of time to do right now before sun comes back, and there's more outdoor work, but it was quite intense. And surely I'll have to study more. And then the person is saying, I'm really a bit proud of myself, managed such a long text somehow. I'm very happy to hear that. So as you can see that those who are able to do the exercises, their learning is really happening in a very significant manner. And that is a crux of the thing, that exercises do help you to be able to learn all the concepts very clearly. So with this, I'll just stop the class with the prayers. And as I said, please feel free. And the exercises for this week would be for the next two chapters. We will post these exercises very soon. So from the chapter 14 and 15 from Sanskrit Subodhini, the book which we are following. There is a comment here. My problem is the vocabulary, not using the language. It is harder to remember, so I have to keep going back to the dictionary. If you know that there is a Sanskrit vocabulary glossary given at the end of the book, Sanskrit Subodhini. So I don't know if you are truly using it, but that is very helpful. So if you go to the end of the book, this vocabulary is given all in one place. So this is a very nice section where all the glossary is giving both from Sanskrit to English and English to Sanskrit. So always please refer to this at the end of the book. The author has given in a very good format in Sanskrit Subodhini book. So please refer to it, glossary. It's both ways, Sanskrit to English and English to Sanskrit. Okay, so there is a question here. Would it be possible sometimes for us to translate some well-known mantras? We have already looked a little at Trambakam and class prayers. I would be most interested to translate the mantras like Gayatri mantra and also the prayers Om Ganpatitva Gum Havamahe. We'll see some of them. Right now we are doing the Gita course where we are doing the same effort for the Gita verses. We'll see if there is a time to do some additional prayers for that. But my idea is that with the Sanskrit learning, you should be able to attempt, at least, if not completely solve, to attempt to see that if you can make a sense of those mantras. Okay, so we'll close the class with the prayers. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you all.